What's up, everybody? Great start to your week, your weekend actually, and I'm hoping that everybody had a good Saturday so far. So today, I want to talk about the realities of a two-week program. And usually, when people talk about a two-week course to get your AMP, they automatically will think that it's a scam. And with that, it's pretty common in the academia. Academia would say that what a scam, and so I'm gonna knock out any disbeliefs or that it's impossible to obtain this in a 2 week course. Of course, I have people will say, well, why don't you make it 4 weeks or 6 weeks? This will make it better. And I kind of just like shrug that off because I've seen it over and over. I've been operating a 2 week program for about 5 years, and I'll tell you that it works. Does it work for everybody? No. Is this for everybody? Nope. And the reactions make sense because it's a lot of information in such a short amount of time. But there's a lot of operations and uh, you know there's a lot of institutions or organizations that do this, and that's where I got it, and I wanted to improve it. Right, the guys who helped me build this saw the same thing where there's in areas where you can still fit 2 weeks, however, make it better. Now, you can still learn some stuff, but uh, you but it will be a lot of work. And so this is not about hype or trying to push this to on everybody, but it is possible for people to get it done in 2 weeks. And and I'm just going to explain to it what it is, right? If I haven't seen this work before, or it just can't be done, then we wouldn't be doing this. And the results is would have told me is like, hey, this doesn't work. So I just wanted to you to believe that um, it is possible and it is not for everybody. Okay, we always think that an AMP is associated with you know 18-24 month program. Let me tell you that. Oh, and then it's like it's civilian pipelines, or it's going to be for um, just take a long time, right? And this is not the case, right? They think that fast sounds irresponsible, and I'm here to explain it. Long doesn't mean better. I know in the government that that's a common thing, and when you have bureaucracy, long means a scam, or it's just they think that it's better. Having a longer program is better, and that's not the case. So, you know, who's the 2 week programs for, right? And in our case, that I won't take anybody that hasn't been authorized by the FAA. Like, you have to show me that a requirement from a candidate who comes into my program has to have an FAA 8610-2. So what is this FAA 8610-2? That is a piece of paper, a form by the FAA, produced by the FAA, and the FAA also have inspectors who will sit down with the candidate and review their experience. You have to prove your experience, right? 30 months of documented experience. And the thing is that when it comes to the military maintainers, is that you have already done the work. You have already done the training. You've done the hands-on practical work, right? You've gone to tech school. You've done the on-the-job training, and the FAA recognizes that and says, they sign off on this document because without that, without their signature, you are not a candidate for a 2 week program. Okay. So with that said, is you're good to take these tests. FAA says you are authorized to take these tests. So that means you already covered the hard parts. Well, not really the hard part. You covered the experience required to take these exams. Okay. So what does it mean, right? Um, the 2 weeks doesn't mean that you it covers everything. Doesn't mean that you went from cover to cover of every FAA books. So what it means is that you're going to be focused on executing this exam. All right, you're going to cover the general airframe and power plant written exams. You're going to do the orals. So that means that a DME who is hired and appointed by the FAA to examine the candidate. And that's so a lot of this stuff, FAA is involved. They have still not only authorized you, but you have to pass their exams, their written exams. They also have to see that you're comfortable uh, talking to in front of a examiner, because that's part of the exam, the oral exam. Answer their questions and do the hands-on stuff, right? So when it comes, so let's say it comes to the written exams, right? That's knowledge based, and you are recognizing these questions and answers, okay? And a lot of the stuff, our military maintainers, and from my experience, is they know a good chunk of it already from their own experience, and we fill in the gaps, right? Not everybody who comes out of the school even know everything or don't remember everything. So this is based on getting you through the exam, recognizing the questions and answers, and because a lot of the stuff you do see this on, the curriculum and your tech schools. And the practical exam is all you do is you go through a process like you do when you were in the military. You pull out your TO, same thing. The FAA has their publications. You follow the instructions. You do it safely. You do it with PPE, and you execute. So all this is referenced from the FAA, and what you're doing with a DME is showing them that you can turn a wrench, you can follow procedures, you can do it safely, and that's what they ask of you to do. So we're not compressing learning, we're just compressing the testing. And hopefully this helps, because I see it time and time again. Oh, I'm not in favor of memorizing the test. No, you're compressing the testing. You're compressing the time that the things that you already know, and you're just executing on the test, and which these guys do very well. I'll teach you one thing, and one or two tries, you already have it. From something that you've never done before. You can turn a wrench. You can follow the instructions, and military maintainers are super great at doing this stuff. They can do it in um, under stressed environments. We've already, military maintainers also get tested on their work on the flight line. They call them QA. You're gonna have QA on the real world too, or on the civilian side, right? So these guys have already been battle tested for testing or doing their job under the review of QA, and these guys are doing it under the FAA. So you already know how to do this stuff, okay? So all we're doing is that we teach you what's going to be on the exams, and you knock it out. Because learning doesn't just stop with this test here. You're going to continue to learn from an F-16, and you're going to learn on AMP, or I'm sorry, on a Boeing. You're going to learn that stuff. And when students come out of their 147 schooling, they're going to learn the same stuff you are. They're probably going to be in the same training lectures or training sessions as the military maintainer to get familiarized with Boeing 747 or 737, right? So and that's okay. It's the start of learning a new airframe, and that's normal. Okay, even if you worked for another company, but this company has a specific model that wasn't, on an F-16, right? But a lot of the concepts and principles are the same. How the basics of hydraulics, you're gonna know that. So a lot of people are scared because they think that it's very hard, and it's a lot of work. Is it hard? No, it's just a lot of questions and answers that we're compressing. Okay, so once guys are getting through the exam and they get knocked out that first uh, exam in general, and they pass with flying colors, they move on to the next, and the momentum builds, and that matters because now they built the confidence, they've seen other people pass, and they just continue going. This is and the military maintainers, and from my experience, is they just they actually form a team and they help each other with studying, and that's freaking awesome. I love it, and that's what I try to foster is teamwork, teaching, and then when you go on and teach others about a concept or a principle or break down a a question, then everybody wins. That even that guy teaching wins because now he's solidifying what he learned into teaching. And when you have great instructors, they allow that. Yeah, there's gonna be some talks, there's gonna be conversations, and what we do is prevent guys talking about war stories. We let it go for a little bit, but we try to bring them back into the studying because it can get carried away, and ultimately they focus on the material in front of them and knock it out. And that's what I love is these guys are end up being focused, knocking it out, and they know what work ethic is because they work 10, 12 hours, and that's the norm in their condition. So studying for them is pretty easy. Studying for you would be pretty easy. And the things that you are scared of, like math or anything like that, is actually the easiest part. And that kind of reveals. So when you have it structured, helps you be accountable and helps you give you the material straight out, minimize distractions, you're going to cruise through it so fast and you get it done within the 2 weeks. A lot of them get done in 2 weeks. And I say over again that the bottleneck is waiting for an examiner. And that's the reality is there's 2, 3 examiners in a region, and that's all there is. And that's what we got to wait for. And then you get more extra time to study while the first guy goes, the second guy goes, and when they see them pass, I was like, dude, guys, and this is a common thing that what happens when they come back from the DME is it's super easy. We lead too much in our heads and have that sign of relief that if anything, that's like that was it. I was like, yep, that's it. Boom, done. So when you have a great DME, uh, that's what happens. It is he knows how to navigate through that, and uh, same thing on the same mindset, keeping it structured, keeping it through the book, and um, and really good about when to take breaks. Legally, he's not going to break the rules. He's not going to lose his position because it's great money for him too, and it's also like he loves to see great mechanics earn their AMP, and we can all feel good that hey, these guys who are getting AMPs are going to go out on the civilian side and do great work and be a great asset to their companies. So maintainers have been doing this for years of doing exactly what FAA wants in their AMPs is follow the instructions, turn the wrench correctly, and do it at a reasonable time frame under pressure and meeting those deadlines because they already know how to execute. And these what I see is in these exams, they do that. The majority, 99% of them, get it done pretty fast. So what causes people to fail in the A&P, right? It's never really the timeline. Sometimes they build up too much in their head that it creates more anxiety and it becomes more stressful, and that will block your memory. And when that happens, is that what we try to do is calm them down, show them with the receipts that they're progressing. And it's not about perfection. There's no valedictorian in our classes. If you get a 70, that's a pass. And these tests, all they care about is fail or pass. That's it. Same thing on the orals and practicals. It's either a pass or a fail. That's it. And the guys who fail don't put in the work. They don't study. They pencil whip. They try to get past. And some guys do pass, even though when they pencil whip it. I've had some of those confessions to us, but they confess to us after they pass, and but they put it, but they did put in the work. So, but the guys who do fail, are being distracted after they leave class, or they have a girlfriend, or they're trying to study at a bar, thinking that that helps them, and it's not. So in a way, I do try to control it to where, hey guys, I try, my biggest thing is distraction, is minimizing that distraction, right? Whether it's the family, whether it's work, whether it's and also creating that environment of teamwork. So they might be going too far in the rabbit hole of a certain question, and I was like, here's the concept, here's the questions, answer those. Don't go too far deep, because one, you're going to be wasting time and you're going to confuse yourself more. Okay. And because, yeah, I get it. There's going to be some uncertainty, but I'll show you the receipts that you are progressing, you are improving. And it's not about perfection. It's, you need to get 70% of those questions correctly. And when I see that, I'll give you the thumbs up. Hey man, your paperwork that you've given me is, you're passing. You're passing all the tests, our practice tests. So you're good to go. So going fast doesn't mean it's going to be failure. As we've seen before, like, speed is a big thing. And practicing on these tests is good, because you're getting it, you're understanding the stuff, and then you go on and take the test, you execute, and that's it. So these fast track courses, are not from people who have zero experience. We won't accept you, period. So this is not people who are just looking to take a shortcut and I was like, okay, I got it, I'm gonna go and test. No, we have structure, we have mentorship, and keep you accountable. That's the biggest thing, is keeping you accountable and kind of tucking you off the ledge, because you're doing great. And yes, you're having high standards for yourself, and that's normal. And we're here to say that, yes, you are crushing it, keep going. And because that little bit of anxiety is going to help you, because you have high standards. And when you yourself are not meeting them, because you got to know everything, it's actually going to hurt you. But we try to balance that, where we give you the motivation to keep going, because you're on the right path. So if you're the type that's unwilling to prepare, this is not the exam. And what I talk to my team about is, we try to set the expectations. Hey, this is who these people are for. If you're the type that wants to go into every little detail, you're gonna fail. And we try to warn you of that before you take these type of courses. Now you got to make a decision if time is the essence, because leadership says you got 2 weeks or you got 3 weeks, and if it's not for you and you want to learn a different way, that's fine. hey, this is not for you, and we're okay to turn you away because we prefer that you find what you think is best and successful. If you're not willing to put in the work, same thing. If you're not going to do it, you're going to fail. You're going to be repeating the test. And of course, most likely those type of people blame us on why they didn't succeed. Now, is there the small percentage that, oh, a bunch of questions showed up that you didn't pass? Yeah. But we prepare you, we reteach, we go over what you missed, off your test scores. And then you go straighten yourself a little more on a subject, or maybe you try to skip a section and that's what made you fail. And we uh, work with you to, on those subjects so you can go pass. Yeah, like I said, if this didn't work, then we wouldn't be doing it. We wouldn't be a business. So we've seen it over before. Even there was organizations before us doing these things that were successful. Now we want to believe that we improved on it and we've seen success. We've seen the results that help you be successful, not just throw you a book and here, study. No, we go over topics, we go over the principles, we go over the concepts. That way, maybe you don't know the question 100%, then you went over the concepts like, okay, this does this and X, Y, and Z. So uh, this is the answer to this question. So with the speed, with the structure, accountability, you're gonna pass. So it's not that you're behind. We're giving you the map so you can be successful because you already come with the experience. You had the majority of it to pass, and we just fill in the gaps for you. So really, you make the work for us a lot easier. And we love to see guys be successful because they're waiting. The job that they're applying for is waiting on you to get that AMP, and that's super awesome. Um, I just received a message. I said, "Congrats on your job on this post that I saw," and I'll post it, later on. But he's like, "If it wasn't for you guys, I would not have been here, or I got this job." And I love to see that when students come back and got their job that they wanted, or you know a position that required the AMP and they got it, or maybe they got put on a board and the AMP helped them to be in this board because they're investing into aviation maintenance companies, and that guy was able to be on that board and kind of be the technical expert, the subject matter expert. So you guys are already conditioned for execution fast. That's what we want. We have to meet certain deadlines, and those things are uh, have to be followed, right? So that way nobody gets fired. And of course, we try to do all this um, with safety in mind, doing it the right way. So um, again, you are not behind. We just fill in the gaps, and that's okay. And if this surprised you, that you felt like this helped you or better understand AMP, or do you have questions, comment below. It's like of your questions, and I'll go and reply to them and help you out. Or you can message me. Go to my school here and sign up. That's the best way to get a hold of me. I can answer any questions. We can get up in a meeting and answer those questions that you may have, see if this is for you. And I hope that this cleared up a lot. And if you're a maintainer who thinks 2 weeks is impossible, comment below. Tell me why. And, this episode is just to clear that up for you. Hope this was helpful. You have a great weekend. I'm pulling chalks. Going to enjoy the rest of my night. And see you tomorrow.